Hi everyone, my name is Shivani and I'm a licensed immigration consultant based in Ontario, Canada, and I'm also the founder of Zeste Immigration Services Incorporation. Today in this video, we'll be talking about skilled workers in Manitoba pathway. So this is a Canadian permanent residency pathway through Manitoba PNP. This PNP is popular because it doesn't require you to create an express entry profile because this is a non-express entry aligned PNP. Moreover, so many variety of occupations get nominated through this PNP. Recent nominations have gone towards retail, sales, finance, administrative roles, management occupations, trades, healthcare occupations, as well as laborers, transport drivers, and so on. So let's get started. The skilled workers in Manitoba category of the Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program is aimed at helping skilled temporary workers in the province immigrate to Manitoba, Canada as Canadian permanent residents. Manitoba acknowledges the value of foreign workers and international graduates within its borders, recognizing them as highly suitable candidates to build a permanent life in the province, establish themselves successfully and swiftly, and actively contribute to Manitoba's economy and community. While Manitoba may not boast the same fame as more populous provinces like Ontario and British Columbia, it offers a fulfilling destination for many newcomers, providing abundant career prospects and superior quality of life. The province is actively seeking to strengthen its workforce by warmly welcoming newcomers and their families. Well, if you're one of those who's currently struggling to get good express entry CRS scores, then you would be glad to know that the skilled workers in Manitoba category operates independently from the federal express entry system. If you have been working in Manitoba for a Manitoba-based company for at least 6 months and have a valid job offer for permanent employment, you may qualify to apply for permanent residence regardless of your eligibility for express entry. Unlike express entry, an express entry profile is not required for the skilled workers in Manitoba category, and successful applicants will not receive 600 points under the comprehensive ranking system. So technically what they're trying to say is this is not an express entry aligned program. To apply for this category, candidates meeting the eligibility criteria can submit an expression of interest, also known as EOI, and enter the candidate pool, where they will receive a point score out of 1,000. Regular draws are conducted, inviting the highest ranking candidates from the pool to submit a complete application to Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program. If their application is approved, they can then apply to the RCIC for a PR. Now let's take a look at the eligibility criteria. In order to be eligible to submit an EOI through skilled workers in Manitoba category, you must be working in Manitoba for a Manitoba-based employer, have worked for your current employer for at least 6 months continuously, and have a long-term or indefinite full-time job offer from the same employer, hold a valid temporary work permit, have a sufficient language ability to fulfill your job duties, show sufficient settlement funds and connection to Manitoba that is stronger than any connection to any other province, and prepare a settlement plan to demonstrate your intention to settle in Manitoba. Well, not only you, means the applicant is required to meet certain requirements, there are certain requirements to be met by the employer as well. Your employer will also need to demonstrate that it is an established company in Manitoba and able to offer you a long-term, full-time permanent position. Now, here is a very important thing to be noted. International students or graduates who studied in Canada but outside Manitoba may still be eligible to enter the pool through the skilled workers in Manitoba category. However, graduates or international students who studied in Canada but outside Manitoba and then moved to Manitoba to work need to work for their employer for at least 1 year instead of 6 months. Alright, guys, again, 1 year instead of 6 months before they may become eligible in this program. It is important to note that some types of work experience cannot count towards the 6-month or 1-year work experience requirement. Time spent self-employed or as an independent contractor working when unauthorized to do so, for example, working without a work permit, or working during full-time education cannot be included in the requirement. After submitting an EOI, candidates receive a score out of 1,000 based on work experience, education, language ability, adaptability, and some other factors. Adaptability assesses a candidate's connection to province, for example, through relatives, work experience, or education. Such as connection may mean candidate is likely to be able to settle successfully and long-term in the province of Manitoba. Now let's quickly take a look at the points grid. Now let's look at the requirements for international students from other provinces. So if you graduated from a post-secondary program in another Canadian province and want to apply for the skilled worker in Manitoba pathway because you have been offered a job in Manitoba, to become eligible, you must first have been working for that Manitoba employer for at least 1 year. So under this program, only the students who have studied in Manitoba are required to meet the 6 months of work experience requirement. However, if you are a student who studied in any other Canadian province other than Manitoba, then you are required to meet at least 1 year of work experience requirement. Again, the job offer has to be from a Manitoba employer. Now, international students who lost or want to change their employment must inform the government, means MPNP, right? Each case will be reviewed and given consideration. There are no set rules or guidelines, as there may be a number of reasons that an international student may lose or need to change employment. It is best to contact the MPNP to discuss your situation to determine the best course of action. Now let's discuss the requirements and conditions for temporary foreign workers. The offer of long-term employment must be from the same employer for whom you have been working full-time for the required time period. You must have all qualifications for the position, including training, education, and any required license or certification. You must have job-ready English. Specifically, you must demonstrate the English or French proficiency to fulfill the duties of your job description. Your connection to Manitoba through employment must be stronger than ties you may have with any other Canadian province. You must demonstrate in a settlement plan your intention and plan to live, work, and establish your work and family life in Manitoba as a permanent resident. Please note that the people who are exempt from requiring a work permit to work in Manitoba are not eligible to apply for the MPNP under this category. Employment that is part of work-study program is also ineligible. Now let's take a look at the requirements for international student working graduates. So only graduates of Manitoba post-secondary educational institutions are considered. You are eligible if your Manitoba employer offers you a long-term job following at least 6 months of continuous full-time employment on a valid post-graduation work permit. Now let's take a look at the conditions. You attended an authorized education or training program at a public or registered private vocational post-secondary institution in Manitoba. Language programs are specifically excluded. Your academic or vocational program was full-time and at least 1 academic year in duration. You successfully completed your program and were awarded a diploma, degree, or certificate. You have been continuously working at least 6 months for the same employer who has offered you a permanent, long-term, full-time position. You have a valid post-graduation work permit issued by the RCIC. Your connection to Manitoba through employment is stronger than ties you may have to any other Canadian province. You demonstrated in a settlement plan your intention to live or plan to live and work and establish your work and family life in Manitoba as a permanent resident. You have all qualifications and English or French language proficiency to fulfill the duties of your job. Please note that if you are an international student graduate who does not meet the conditions to apply as an international student working graduate in this program, well then in that case you may be eligible to apply for the MPNP to the Skilled Worker Overseas pathway or a pathway under the Business Investor stream should that apply to you. Now, if you wish to learn more about the Manitoba Skilled Worker Overseas pathway, then feel free to click on this button up here and perhaps you can go and watch this eventually once you're done with this video. So before you go ahead and simply apply to this program, you must know that there are some people who cannot apply to this program, right? So the following are not eligible to submit an application to the MPNP. The first is refugee claimants or individuals involved in a federal appeal or removal process, live-in caregivers currently living in Canada, temporary foreign workers currently working and residing in a province other than Manitoba, because these people are working for different employers in their own province, so they cannot apply to Manitoba PNP just by working for for another employer in their province, right? Spouses of Canadian citizens or permanent residents, individuals who have been refused by the MPNP within the last 6 months and who are not able to address the reasons for refusals, and individuals who have an active immigration application with any other provincial immigration program or federal immigration program in Canada. Note, an express entry profile is not considered an immigration application. So even if you have your EE profile active, that's fine. If you're eligible in this program, you can go ahead and apply given that you meet all the requirements. Now there's one more thing for you to note. So if you or your spouse already have an active MPNP application, you are not eligible to submit an additional application to any other stream or pathway of the MPNP. So I really hope you liked this video. If you did, then please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon right there so that you get notified every single time I post a new video. If you wish to talk about your Canadian immigration case, or if you wish to explore your Canadian immigration options, then feel free to contact us at www.zeste.ca, or feel free to book an appointment with me using the link given in the description box. Thank you guys for your time today, and see you next time. Take care.